Oh, okay. Did not know that. I already had it up. Oh, they're lined up behind me and I'm goofing off. Uh, oh, this ain't gonna work. It's already fucking loose. It was on the cars. It was on Beetlejuice's car. It only stayed on things that were freezing. Yes. They weren't frozen already, it melted. No, it's snow. It's hitting a hot windshield. Yeah. Hey, Jesse. Well, and you had plenty of snow. All right, next time I'll deja vu it for you, is what I'm having right now. I'll take a picture next time. I can't really talk, I don't have a voice. I bet you do have the AC on, Jesse Scott.
The sexologist who wrote Satanic Erotica.
So a few months ago, we told you about the Spanish bishop whose love for an alluring author of erotic fiction caused him to leave his church. Today we have an update on that man. Emmy, what is his new job?
He scrubs toilets at a Six Flags.
That's very specific. Very specific
It's just
indeed.
a job I dream of.
Really?
I haven't been following this story, so maybe is he
I'm
an
amazed.
influencer now? Maybe
I've got a
he's-
Google alert on it. No, no, I'm going to give you a hint. It's a little subtle hint. See if you can sort of piece it together from what I'm about to tell you. His customers are those who import pig semen.
Is he an importer, exporter of pig semen?
An exporter of pig semen. That's exactly right. That's what he ended up doing. He's working for a company that both exports quality reproductive material in more than 20 countries. So it sounds like he has landed on his feet and on the underside of some pigs. What does he do for this company? We don't know, but it's worth saying that in that business, labeling the packages and getting the address right is very, very important.
Well, that's what he does in Spain. If this were an American story, he would be a politician.
That's true. He'd be on Dancing with the Stars.
Absolutely. Yes, yes.
Well, until the next update, that does it for
Whatever happened to that priest who left the church to be with the sexologist who wrote Satanic Erotica?
Coming up, it's lightning fill in the blank, but first it's the game where you have to listen to the drive. If you'd like to play on air, call or leave a message. 1-888-WAIT-WAIT. That's 1-888-924-8924. If you want to see us live and in person, we will be at the Harris Theater in Chicago once more on December 9th. Tickets are on sale now at wait.npr.org. We promise it'll be a super spreader event, but this time we'll be spreading laughter and good fun. Hi, you're on Wait, Wait, Don't Tell.
Hi there. I am Soren. I'm calling from Laramie, Wyoming.
Laramie, Wyoming, out there in the Great Prairie. What do you do there?
I am currently studying social work, and I'm also in our jazz band.
That's pretty cool. What instrument do you play?
I play the trumpet.
Ooh.
Yes, I have a good time.
You do. Is there still an audience for jazz in Laramie, Wyoming?
Well, my parents only live about an hour away, so there's at least an audience there.
Oh yeah, it's
At
everywhere.
least they show up. That's
Yeah.
where.
It's all over the
At least a couple
place.
of people get to it.
Well, Soren, welcome to the show. Bill Curtis is
I
going
need to
to
get a plow to make it home tonight.
Last word or phrase missing from each. If you can fill in that last word or phrase correctly in two of the limericks, you'll be a winner. Ready to play?
Absolutely.
All right. Here is your
What's up,
first.
coach?
Work from home.
Don't those
should be
lines suck?
fun at my
Or were they
boss.
winning?
Let's draw lines my employer can't cross. Once I get off the clock, there's a caller I'll block. So I can't get a text from my boss.
Yes, the Portuguese Parliament has made it illegal in that country for your boss to text you after work. Fortunately, it's still legal before work and during work. They made this law, of course, to support a healthier work-life balance. But come on, it's not illegal if I'm more of a friend than a boss, right? Besides, if you think about it, any text that you get after you get home for the day is technically still before work.
You sound like you're arguing for the boss on that, Peter.
I'm just saying, I'm the kind of guy who might need people to pretend to find me funny any time of the day or night. And my staff knows that. All right, very good. Here is your next one.
If I don't get some good rest or head time, my heart is a premature dead time. But it keeps a firm beat if I get some good sleep. So 10:30 is now my new bedtime.
Right, a study has revealed that for the healthiest part, you should go to bed between 10 and 11 at night. That particular bedtime maximizes the positive effects of the body's circadian rhythm and minimizes potentially harmful exposure to James Corden. The study followed 88,000 people in Britain who answered yes to the question, mind if I watch you sleep? 25% increase in heart disease in people who went to bed after midnight. You'd expect that, right? You need to get your sleep. But also a 24% increase among people who went to bed before 10. So your doctor might prescribe that you have to be less lame.
Well, what about what time they get up?
That, I mean, to me, that is a key question, of course. I mean, if you go to bed before 9 and you get up at 1 in the morning, it's not going to do you much good. Right? I mean, it seems an important question, but apparently that is key. 10 and 11.
Well, I would think the people who stay up past midnight and die early, at least they had a good time. If
Exactly.
you're going to bed,
Yeah.
if you're going to bed at 8:30 and dying early, you really got robbed in this equation.
Yes.
So they just write off everyone who works at night.
Apparently. Like, you know,
Just like, sorry.
You're touring
It's called the
comedians are all,
graveyard shift for a reason, man.
you're all doomed.
Hey, Pansy.
You're all doomed. All right, here is your last one.
Though AMC's snacks deserve top score, they are trying to get a new shop floor. They think it behooves me to forego the movie
He said
and go
hooves.
out to buy greasy
Popcorn.
Exactly right. AMC Theaters is opening a handful of kiosks across the country dedicated to selling their popcorn so you can get it without having to go to a movie. It's exactly the same movie theater popcorn recipe we love, but now you can wipe your hands on your own furniture.
And if you make it at home, do you have to pay yourself $11 for the
Exactly, you do. And of course, you have to. It's only sold in small, medium, and large, and the small is exactly the same size as the medium.
I need like above ground pool size if we're really doing this.
Did she say above ground pool
There's
sex?
a movie theater in Santa Monica that I've walked to sometimes just to get popcorn.
Really?
Yeah.
You actually like it?
You know what? I do like it, but I also can't watch a movie without popcorn.
Do you have one of those rules, Paula, where you're not allowed to start eating popcorn until the movie itself starts?
Don't look good for them.
No, I start eating right away. Yeah.
You
Sometimes I don't even move out of the way for the next customer. I just stand there and eat a couple of kernels
Really?
until
Lions
someone goes,
fan.
"Go, would you go?"
Yeah. Bill, how did Soren do?
Lions is by
He
my
did
house.
great. He got a perfect score, actually.
Well done, Soren. Thanks, and enjoy playing for your parents next time.
Thank you so much.
Take
Good
care.
luck in
Bye-bye.
school.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right, Tupac.
It's
What
time
up,
for our
buddy?
final game already. It's lightning fill in the blank. Each of our players now has 60 seconds in which to answer as many fill in the blank questions as they can. Each correct answer now worth 2 points. Bill, can you give us the scores?
Emmy has 1, Paula has 3, and Alonzo has 4.
Wow.
How on earth
Love
do
it.
I only have 1? This is a rough game.
Well, Emmy, the good news is because you only have 1 point, that means you do go first. So, clock will start when I begin your first question. Fill in the blank. On Wednesday, the U.S. and China made a joint pledge to combat blank.
Climate change.
Yes, on Tuesday, Pfizer asked the FDA to approve blank shots for all adults.
Booster.
Yes, booster shots. This week, a member of the group that stormed the blank was sentenced to 41 months in prison.
Oh, the Capitol.
Yes, on Tuesday, the Supreme Court of Oklahoma tossed out a ruling calling for Johnson & Johnson to pay $465 million for their part in the blank crisis.
Oh, I don't know. Pass.
Opioid crisis. A North Carolina congressman who organized an anti-vaccine rally announced he'd be unable to attend because he blanked.
Died of COVID.
Well, he got COVID. He's not dead yet. On Tuesday,
Okay.
fast food workers across California blanked to demand better working conditions.
Protested.
Went on strike. They
Yeah.
struck. They went on strike. On Sunday, a concert goer sued Travis Scott and Live Nation over the deadly crowd surge at the Blank Festival.
Astro World.
That's right. This week, a family in Peru learned that the reason their pet dog Run Run was having behavioral problems was because blank.
He is a llama.
You're so close. Run Run, the dog, it turns out, is a fox. The family
Ew.
adopted Run Run as a puppy, and everything went great at first, but they soon noticed the dog was less interested in playing fetch and more interested in playing eat the neighbor's chickens. Shortly
Nice.
after discovering that he was a fox, Run ran away. Bill, how did Emmy do in our quiz?
Darn good. She had 6 right for 12 more points. I mean, she has 13 in the lead.
Oh, yeah. That sweet lead. I've got it now, guys.
All right, Paula, you're up next. Fill in the blank. According to a new report, almost 1 million children got their first blank this week.
What's up,
COVID
Lou?
shot.
Yeah, this week an appeals court temporarily halted the White House's corporate blank mandate.
Vaccine.
Right. On Tuesday, a watchdog group found that Kellyanne Conway and 12 other members of the Trump administration violated the Blank Act repeatedly.
Hatch.
Yes, this week, passengers at Heathrow Airport had to wait to be reunited with their luggage after blank ended up in the carousel instead.
After a rat.
No, after dozens of crates of frozen fish ended up on the carousel. At an auction this week, one of the earliest computers made by blank sold for $400,000.
Apple.
Right, despite the worst reviews in the franchise's history, the latest movie in the blank universe topped the box office.
Marvel.
Yeah, Marvel Cinematic Universe. A California couple will be able to enjoy the video of the birth of their new baby that was recorded by blank.
I
It was
could
recorded
coach,
by,
but
one of
I
those
wasn't
traffic
gonna.
cams.
you know what I need to
Their
do
own
is go to
doorbell
the
camera.
ATM and
The
get
woman
Roz
had
some
been
money.
having contractions 10 minutes apart.
She'll go get coffee later.
From the hospital. Then they got cocky. She got as far as the car before she realized she was having the baby right there in the front lawn. Fortunately, their doorbell camera was there to capture the wonderful miracle of life. Mom and baby are both fine, and since the doorbell camera was a Ring, their Amazon page now says people who had babies in their yard also like. Bill, how did Paula do on our quiz?
Welcome back, Paula. You got 5 right for 10 more points. That gives you 13, and you are tied with Emmy for the lead.
Oh, it got real spicy just now. This is exciting.
All right. How many, then, does Alonzo need to win this?
5 to win.
All right, here we go. This is for the game, Alonzo. On Tuesday, Stephen Miller and Kayleigh McEnany became the latest Trump allies to be subpoenaed by the Blank Committee.
January 6th.
Yes, following months of debate, President Biden said he would sign the completed blank bill on Monday.
Infrastructure.
Right. This week, a federal judge overruled Texas's ban on blank mandates in schools.
Mask.
mask mandates.
Yes, for the first time in 20 months, the U.S. allowed international travelers who are blanked to enter the country.
Vaccinated?
Right, a Colorado man was arrested after he accidentally set his mother's house on fire while trying to blank.
Set her house on fire?
No, she was trying to clear out cobwebs with a blowtorch. On
What?
Wednesday, Elon Musk sold around $5 billion worth of blank stock.
Wow.
Tesla.
Right, on Thursday,
Wow.
NASA announced it would be at least 2025 before they landed another astronaut on the blank.
Moon?
Yes, this week, a senior general from the communist country of Vietnam came under fire after he went to London and blanked.
Drank? I don't know.
No, he went to London and ate a steak covered in gold,
Oh, wow.
served to him by Salt Bay. If you care, the general said he was in the city to visit the grave of Karl Marx, and hey, as long as he's there, why not spit on it? The steak he was filmed eating cost $1,150, and it was covered in 24-karat gold leaf. After being accused of betraying his communist values, the general promised to make it up to the citizens of Vietnam.
Scout, what's
Just
up?
as soon as he finds a knife sharp enough to cut his leftovers into 97 million pieces.
Wasn't that an appetizer at the Getty wedding?
It probably was. Bill, did Alonso do well enough to win?
He is so hot. He had 6 right, 12 more points. It means with 16, he's the champion this week.
Yay! There you are.
I would like to dedicate this one to Anna from Denver. Thank you for the point, Anna. You just turned the tide on this one.
You did. She tossed it to you, man, and you ran with it. I'm proud. Coming up, our panelists predict, now that Thanksgiving has gotten so expensive, what will people eat to save money this year? But first, let me tell you that support for NPR comes from NPR stations. And Oliver Wyman, Believing Business Success is a series of everyday decisions shaped by breakthrough moments requiring expertise, creativity, and diversity of ideas and people. Learn more at oliverwyman.com. Data IQ, a platform for everyday AI to help organizations make AI part of their day-to-day business, designed to elevate people, teams, and companies. Learn more at dataiq.com. And Mathnasium, committed to boosting students' confidence, critical thinking, and math grades and scores with an in-person or online instruction. Each student follows a customized learning plan. More at mathnasium.com. Wait, Don't Tell Me is a production of NPR and WBEZ Chicago in association with Urgent Haircut Productions, Doug Berman, Benevolent Overlord. Philip Godigan writes our limericks. Our social media superstars, Emma Choi, BJ Liederman, composed our theme. Our program is produced by Jennifer Moon, Miles Dornbos, Lillian King, and Nancy Sachow. Special thanks, as always, to David Thomas. Our wedding planner is Peter Gwynn. Technical direction is from Lorna White. Our
This,
CFO is Colin Miller. Our
this
production
area is
Ron
closer to
Brown.
Texas,
Our senior
Coach.
producer is Ian Chillag. The executive
God, how
producer
horrible do I sound, Coach?
James Michael Danforth. Now, panel, what will people be eating to save money at Thanksgiving?
I should have took the picture. There was snow on Beetlejuice's car.
All of Alonzo.
I see snow. Where's that trash?
And Alonzo voted.
Maybe somebody's car will have
This year
it.
by eating last year's turkey.
I knew it would get you in here. Oh, there's some on the ground over there.
Wait, don't tell me.
Maybe it's
Thank you,
trash.
Curtis. Thanks also to Alonzo.
Yeah, I feel
Eddie,
horrible,
and
Coach.
all of Alonzo. Thanks to all of you for listening. I'm Peter Sagal. We are going to see you. We will next week.
Guys, I got home yesterday and slept all afternoon.
This is
We got out half a day. And then I got up for a couple hours. And that was it. Went back to sleep, didn't get up till 3:30, almost 4.
Join the team at WDET.
It sucks because I like to get up and hang out with the baby, but I can't when, hell, she's got a cough too. She gave it to me. Ugh. I'm exhausted just from saying that. Yeah, last night I would have ran a panel, but I would have just been like a G Mango's backstage, relaxing, letting you guys talk. I fell asleep, Pansy.
Water has tremendous impacts on our daily operations.
For Sunday, November 14th, this is all exclusive.
Well, that's the electric truck plant, guys, right there.
I'm Michelle Martin. Also, this
Yup,
network,
right
more
there.
turmoil inside.
Actually, that's the paint department. Where the blue doors start. That's where it's at.
That's a pretty serious signal for any employee.
Yup, look at it right there.
Free coffee at work.
That's creators of the hit
That's the
comedy
building.
Hit to Five until
a different kind of immigrant story.
I grew up,
Yep.
in a Mexican immigrant family, low income. These were all dreams that I never imagined could have come true in this way.
First, this news.
Live from NPR News, I'm Janine Herbst. President Biden's top economic advisor says he's confident the White House's $1.7 trillion domestic policy package will quickly pass the House this week. Brian Deese says approval couldn't come at a more urgent time as prices
Oh,
of
maintenance
consumer
got
goods
everyone,
spike.
guys.
He says it's fully paid for and will reduce the deficit over the long term.
Far from adding to inflation concerns, this bill will do the opposite.
Yep.
Because it's fully paid for, it doesn't
Park
add
down there.
to the economy. It makes these investments
Where I was gonna
actually
park the first
offset
time. I don't
by
mind that.
increasing taxes
Walk.
on corporations and wealthy individuals.
Speaking there on ABC's This Week, the House has been moving toward approval of the massive Democrat-only bill, even as it faces bigger challenges in the Senate over cost. Tomorrow, Biden plans to sign the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill into law. German Chancellor Angela Merkel is calling on unvaccinated Germans to get their shot.
Oh man, I made it, folks. I got a surprise for y'all.
Record high. NPR's Rob Schmitz has more.
Merkel says Germans could save their winter if those that have not been vaccinated decide to do so in the coming months. Germany's infection rate has climbed to
Yeah, man, can probably claim this as one of my favorites.
Over the past week, Merkel plans to meet with the country's
See how we
16
do.
state governors to coordinate nationwide measures next week. The Parliament is mulling legislation that would provide a new legal framework for restrictions over the winter.
Look at that,
More than a
guys.
quarter of all Germans remain unvaccinated. In neighboring Austria, where the infection rate is worse, the government has issued a
It's a
lockdown for
cheesesteak.
the unvaccinated. Rob Schmitz, NPR News, Berlin.
Here's the
UN
onion.
Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the new climate pact forged in Glasgow isn't ambitious enough to keep global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. But as Sharon Schultz reports, the EU is welcoming the agreement as an important step.
European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen acknowledges there's, quote, no time to relax on limiting global warming. The Glasgow deal pledges countries to come back to the table next year with plans to further limit their emissions and help poorer countries with more financing to cope with environmental destruction. The European Union's lead negotiator, Commission Vice President Frans Timmermans, says he's encouraged by what was accomplished.
Almost 200 countries coming together on an agenda of such ambition that we have not seen since Paris. That gives me the hope that I can tell my kids and my grandson we can actually achieve something.
The Paris Agreement of 2015 was the first global climate agreement to make emissions reduction plans binding on
How are you gonna go for a walk? It's raining out.
officials in Brussels.
Tomorrow, a jury in Kenosha, Wisconsin starts deliberating whether Kyle Rittenhouse is
Coach,
charged
one
with
thing.
killing 2 people and wounding a
Put
third
a shirt on.
during chaotic protests over the police shooting of Jacob Blake. This is NPR. In France,
Michael!
reported an escape attempt from the second largest prison in the Paris region. French media identified the prisoner as a suspected ISIS sympathizer who dug a hole in the wall of her cell and then rappelled out on knotted sheets. The Justice Ministry says
Hi,
the prisoner
Marcus.
was
Nice
caught
to
this
see you.
morning and that guards immediately searched all cells. Israel's government is advancing a bill to limit a prime minister's term to 8 years. As NPR's Daniel Estrin reports from Jerusalem, it's a response to Benjamin Netanyahu's many years in office.
Netanyahu made history as Israel's longest-serving prime minister. He was in office for 12 years in a row. His political opponents said that was too long. They banded together and replaced him this summer. The new government's main goal is to keep Netanyahu out of power for as long as possible. Now, cabinet ministers have endorsed a bill for an 8-year term limit on any future prime minister. Netanyahu opposes the bill. He points to Germany, where Angela Merkel has served 16 years. Israel's parliament is expected to pass the term limit law, but analysts say it won't really limit Netanyahu. He could still be re-elected, and then his government could easily overturn the term limits law. Daniel Estrin, NPR News, Jerusalem.
In southern Egypt, heavy rains and flooding have left at least 3 people dead, hundreds hospitalized for scorpion stings.
Scorpions?
Strong storms over the province of Aswan forced scorpions from their hiding places and into people's homes. Officials canceled school classes today. Homes, roads, and agricultural fields were damaged.
What's gonna
Many
make lazy and
homes
sleepy, junkyard?
Janine Herbst, NPR News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations.
How you doing, Larry?
Others include the George Lucas Educational Foundation, creator of Edutopia. For 30 years, committed to advancing educational innovations and research that improves pre-K to 12 learning. More at edutopia.org.
Good afternoon. It's 5:06 and you're listening to 101.9 WDET FM, Detroit's NPR station, your connection to music and conversation. I'm
I just slept for over
cloudy, a couple of snow showers.
24 hours in the past
Tomorrow, mostly cloudy and windy.
day and a half.
Around 44. Tuesday, a mix of sun and clouds with a high around
Honestly,
48. You're listening
I don't want to talk a
All
lot,
Things
but
Considered here on 101.9 WDET.
had lunch with Big Vinny.
Joining us.
I had a patty melt. And
This is All Things Considered.
I went home.
I'm Michelle Martin. We're
and I
going
went to sleep.
today by thinking about
And I got up around
the
6.
lasting effects of a COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has claimed more than 700,000 lives in the U.S. alone. It's also
Yeah, right,
affected our daily
Scorpios.
activities, and it's had a lasting effect on the economy. In some areas, cases are still ticking upward. But as we adjust to the new routines of distancing, masking, and vaccination, many people have wondered what that new normal will look like. So that's where we want to focus our attention. For that, we've called Dr. Robert Wachter, his thoughts and expertise on the subject. Dr. Wachter is the chair of the Department of Medicine at the University of California, San Francisco, and he's with us now. Welcome, Dr. Wachter. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
So here we are, well into our second year of this
Ooh,
pandemic.
this is some
and
good
there
soup. It's
is not
cheesy,
a
meaty, and
nationwide
everything.
surge, but
It's got
COVID-19
chunks of
is still
bread in it.
spreading. It's affecting daily activities.
And vegetables.
What should we think about that? I mean, I think that, you know,
That
some people are
peppers,
saying
onions.
this is what it's
Yeah,
gonna
there's a
look
good
like.
soup.
This is the new
Yeah, I think I'm increasingly in that boat, and to make clear, I don't
Shit
think
and
that's
water
a
if I ate that.
I love us to be in a place where COVID was receded as a part of our lives.
Larry, it's awesome.
But I think it's increasingly clear that that's not likely to happen, that this is going to be with us for the foreseeable future, and we're going to be on this.
And you know what's
roller
even
coaster
better?
where
I got
things go up
another
and then
half.
go down, and then they go up again. And so my thinking.
I'll be
has
burning your
shifted a
ass,
little bit in the
Michelle.
last several months. For the last year and a half, I've been very, very conservative. I still do not want to get COVID. I still worry about getting long COVID if you get it.
Rich Baltimore.
COVID's going to be with us for the next several years and maybe forever. At least my own mindset is, if I'm not going to do it now and I'm fully vaccinated and I've got my booster, I sort of feel like I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm not going to do that next year, the year after.
Yeah, it
This is gonna
hurts.
not be all that different. And so things.
Man, I
like
just hit a jalapeno.
Florence in Florida, or holding a conference in San Francisco in person with everyone masked and with a vaccine requirement. I wouldn't have done it 6 months or a year ago, and today it feels like, are we going to forgo that activity and some of the things that give us joy in life forever? Forever's a long time, but I think for the next at least several years, COVID's here to stay.
So how are you calculating personal risk?
COVID's here to keep you people under control.
Think about this individually.
What are you going to do? What the government tells you.
6 months ago was, this is going to get much, much, much better. Let's hunker down and wait for the cavalry.
Hey, Hazel.
What changed about that, really two things over the last 6 or 8 months. One is the Delta variant.
Coach is trying to go for a walk, but we keep stopping him.
Virus, and the second is the fact that it looks like 30 or 40% of Americans are not going to get vaccinated, which I still find flabbergasting, but seems to be a fact of life. So personally, what I do, first of all, as I said,
Jersey
fully
Mike's.
vaccinated, and got a booster, and I think that's very
Larry.
important. There's pretty good evidence that the vaccine efficacy is waning. And if
Jersey
you're eligible,
Mike's.
you should definitely get the booster. So I feel like I'm as protected as I can be. I will now in San Francisco
Downriver.
go to an indoor restaurant with friends. I think twice about it, but as long as the cases here are relatively low, and they are, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to get on an airplane and go to important business or personal functions. Outside, I feel like things are quite safe. I don't wear a mask outside walking the dog. And 2 days ago, I played poker with a group of 8 friends, all in our 60s, all fully vaccinated, all boosted, not wearing masks. I would not have done that a few months ago. But it was that theme, which is, if I'm not going to do it now, I'm probably making a positive statement that I'm not going to do it forever. And I enjoy it, and lost money again, but it felt like it was time to begin reversing. Now, if the cases
Lunch.
reasons that, you know, we could all debate. But I'm just wondering if you
Yup.
sense of which COVID precautions do you think should be phased out and which ones, in your opinion, should we continue, perhaps permanently? Or is that kind
Pop.
of one of those things where it really has
From
to be
lunch
on a
yesterday.
place by place, situation by situation basis?
Yeah, it's not only probably place by place, but also your own personal risk tolerance and your own personal risk. We're all
You guys chat.
careful with these
I'm gonna
things,
rest.
but I do believe that in my own thinking, and I think those of most epidemiologists. and
Hey, I blow my nose, I
now
think.
know that because of Delta,
Oh,
because of the percentage of
Jesus.
people who are staying unvaccinated, we have to have calculations about how do we keep ourselves as safe as possible while enjoying life and recognizing that the hunkering down stage, waiting for this to go away, now has to move on to a different way of thinking where COVID
Oh,
is probably
God.
going to be with us for the next several years and maybe forever.
Dr. Robert, the Department of Medicine at the University of California, San Francisco. Dr. Rocket, thank you so much for speaking with us.
My pleasure, Michelle. Thank you.
You probably heard
Oh, all the time. All the time, Jakey Poo. All the time.
especially the politics.
Yeah, all the time.
Focus again on what's in it.
She just knows I have a thing for Jersey Mike's. And in 28 years of working at Ford Motor Company,
Measures are intended in part to help farmers get
I never brought my lunch and I never bought a lunchbox for work.
particularly in states that are battling severe drought. One of those
Jake, I
states
work
is
with all
New
these
Mexico.
guys. They all go out and find lunchboxes, and
People's lives and livelihoods.
other people would be like, hey, where'd you get that lunchbox? Just give me 40 bucks. I'll get you one.
Now, Greg Davier, thanks so much for joining us.
And I'm like,
So
$40?
could you just tell us a bit more about
Some nights I don't even eat. Day shift, coffee. I get coffee and bacon, egg, and cheese in the morning.
Fairly severe drought.
And then I don't eat.
Farming in the desert, water is the
Maybe I'll get a pop and a pack of cookies. They got grandma cookies here where they're the nice soft ones.
So how are you used to dealing with
Yeah.
water issues? I mean, New Mexico is one of the driest
Yup.
states in the country, right? So, you know,
Yup.
how has this kind of played out in recent years? And is the
Oh, man, yeah.
stressful?
So we've
I'm
been
just
farming
beat,
for
guys.
50
Whew.
years at this location.
I was trying to go live with everybody last night.
And I suspect we'll see
Pansy, Tara, Coach, even, you know.
be able to adapt well to changing, variable, and sometimes unpredictable water situations.
Oh,
So
man.
we're hopeful that the infrastructure bill will help with our water infrastructure so that we can better allocate every drop of water to be more productive for the people that rely on our products.
How have you
I feel
adapted
better,
to
though.
changes in water availability? I mean, obviously we were there for the 150 years, but how have you and your borders adapted to changes in water availability in the past? Like, what have been
Thank
some
you,
of the
Jake.
workarounds?
So I'm fortunate that I have.
I appreciate that, buddy.
My grandfather wasn't able to tap into
Like Eric the Goat Guy says, hit the like, hit the like.
Reclamation Service came into being and helped to build the reservoir and delivery system to better regulate surface water so it wasn't simply flood or drought. And today,
So I heard the government wants YouTube to get rid of the thumbs down because it hurts people's feelings. Yeah.
major pipeline to more efficiently move water around on our farm. So these things help us to better deliver the water and therefore be more productive with every unit of water we're delivering.
Do you allow your brain to kind of go to a place of thinking that there might be a time when you can't find these workarounds?
So that would be a place of worry. And
You know, it's funny, guys. I grabbed my damn selfie stick
that innovation will
for the Breakfast Club this morning,
new ways to do
and I probably got to tell Vince I'm not even going. I'm going to go home and get back in that bed
it'll be wet again.
and lay there for 12 hours straight. Well, I can't even do that. I can only lay there for,
And trying to keep us all in
oh,
business until we're to times that are a little easier to manage.
no,
The infrastructure bill, like,
they're not, junkyard.
do you have a sense of
They're mandating salary.
infrastructure could have on farmers
Well,
like
because I'm
yourself
union,
in New
nope,
Mexico?
they can't do
If
it.
you can explain this without being too technical. or
I love it because it's funny. I got all head congestion. Got nothing to do with my lungs. Nothing to do with coronavirus.
A century ago, and has very few upgrades that have been done in that amount of time. It's just just so expensive to change how we're delivering the water. So it still comes through dirt-lined ditches. And
Yeah, right?
being able to
Butthurtcrete.
have those, being able to concrete line those and have less loss in the
Not
delivery
me.
system will improve the
Not me, they
to
can't.
get the water from the reservoir
Not me.
to the water. And I'm hopeful that those types of projects will come out of the infrastructure bill.
Oh, that's cool. Cowboys what?
Optimistic about the future. I really do, and as part of who I am, I like to say that Hope Springs.
Pretty much, Marcus. Yeah.
So every spring, it's another opportunity for me to.
And don't make a big deal about it either, you know?
Before you go, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Just mind your own business.
Scientists have said
Oh.
for some time that there is a relationship between climate change and more frequent and more severe storms, and also more frequent and more severe droughts.
Yeah, I will get a pop walking in the door
I'm
though.
just wondering if
I will do that. That is one thing I will do.
following the climate talks that have happened these past 2
Gotta
weeks
make that
at all.
money.
I just wondered if you think that it's relevant to your life and what's happening on the farm.
The cowgirls. That's funny. The cowgirls.
How do I adapt?
That is a good one.
How do I change my practices? How do I get help in changing those practices for the reality of today? It turns out that predictions are difficult, especially when they're about the future, and so I don't try to predict what I'm going to need 30 years from now. How is it we best adapt to reality?
You're gonna need money is what you're gonna need 30 years from now, folks. Lots of money. Because of the inflation they're gonna cause between now and then.
Your product this holiday season.
Don't wanna
You're
work.
welcome. Please eat all the pecans you want.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Gotta listen to liberal radio so you know how bad they're trashing people.
I'm Natasha T. Miller. A podcast about grief and how we live with it. With our team of young producers and the help of mental health professionals, we hear stories and explore the science and solutions around grief. Listen and subscribe.
We'll see what happens.
Podcast. And in the meantime, take care.
They want to believe they should be allowed to take a percentage of your money just because you have money.
And it's supported by the Children's Foundation of Michigan.
So they think every year they're going to tell me I got to pay a chunk out of my savings or like you're saying, an IRA, and it's bullshit. What I'm worth is no one's business, you know? You know,
This whole window of DEI is great, but it is going to close, and we must remember that.
I'd like to see our Ford stock at least double, because I've been there through it all since it's been $1.
Stream the show on demand at WDET.org.
I'm Janine Herbst for these headlines. President Biden's top economic officer, Brian Deese, says he's confident the House will pass the
I know.
$1 trillion social
Here.
and climate spending bill this week.
Here, listen.
He tells ABC it's fully paid for and will
Fully paid
reduce
for,
the
guys.
deficit over the long term.
Yeah.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel is calling on unvaccinated Germans to get their shots as quickly
Crazy.
as possible as the country's coronavirus infection rate hits a record high. This as Austria orders a lockdown for all unvaccinated people 12 and over as that country also sees a surge. First Lady Jill Biden and Surgeon General Vivek Murthy were in Houston today visiting the country's largest children's hospital, promoting the COVID-19 vaccine for younger kids. I'm Janine Herbst, NPR News.
Is that crazy? I'm so happy my dad retired. I hope he can live a good 15 more years in his
Support for
life.
NPR
or more.
comes from this station.
20,
And from the
30
NPR
years.
Wine
Who
Club,
knows?
Celebrating NPR's
No one
50th
really lives to be
anniversary.
100, so
Wines like NPR 50th Zinfandel.
if he lives to be
Available
95, I'd be
adults
thrilled.
21 years or older. Learn more at nprwineclub.org. And from DuckDuckGo. Committed to making privacy
Yeah,
online
see, it makes no
simpler.
sense.
Used by tens of millions, they offer internet privacy with one download. DuckDuckGo.
Oh, it's your
Privacy
birthday? She's
simplified
99?
at
All right.
DuckDuckGo.com.
Let's hope she makes it to 100. I love Betty White. I'm so happy for her.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Michelle Martin. After weeks of
I
negotiations,
saw
nearly
the
200
guy,
countries reached a deal at the UN climate talks
Beetlejuice loves
known
this
as
poor man.
COP26. The
He looks
top line from the
terrible,
deal,
but,
countries agreed to set more ambitious targets for cutting greenhouse emissions. The agreement was reached after a last-minute compromise on coal use. Critics of the plan say it doesn't go far enough to
Sweet
reduce
Jake.
emissions fast enough.
Very
or in
glad to
providing
hear that.
assistance to developing
It must be
countries.
the
As
diet
we are learning
or
more about
something.
the deal, we want to hear more
Now
about
he's gonna
how the
tell us she
negotiations
smokes
went, how
cigarettes and
different participants feel about it, and
something
next
like
steps
that,
for
but yeah.
COP26. So we've called Ambassador Janine Felsen once again. She is the deputy head of the
That's
Belize
sweet.
delegation that attended the UN Climate
That's
Conference,
sweet.
and she is with us now. Welcome back to the program. Thanks so much for talking with us again.
Thank you very much, Michelle. It's a pleasure to be back with you.
So you were on this program just before COP26, and you said your major goal was to get the world's wealthiest countries to commit to more ambitious climate goals. So what's your sense of the deal? Are you pleased?
I would say that the glass is half full. We have ambition on the agenda. We think that we have a good enough chance to keep our developed country partners' feet to the fire to raise their ambition in respect of their 1.5
I set up to blow my nose, I blew my
targets.
nose, and now my nose is
But
all
of course,
stuffed
there
again.
are
I can't
areas where we
understand.
still need to see progress.
I feel like you're, forgive me for saying this,
Well,
but
I
feel
can
like
sit
you're
here all
choosing your
damn day and keep blowing it.
I'm wondering, is that still kind of evaluating how you feel about it? Or you're still processing all that you went through? Or what? Am I right about that?
What song you want me to play?
There's a little bit of processing, and so yes, I am choosing my words carefully because I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't want to say, this isn't something that's workable.
Yeah.
I think it's good enough for me to just look at, the final what the
Not allowed to
prestige
say
of the
that
Glasgow
name
Climate
around
Talks.
Beetlejuice,
There are
Joe
so
Biden.
many different agenda items that were negotiated that are under that decision.
Oh.
And those different agenda items all put in place something different, something new.
Well, thanks for your candor. I appreciate it because you were there to represent Belize and developing island nations that are experiencing the worst effects of climate change. Do you feel that you were heard in the course of the negotiations?
I'd say that there definitely could have been much stronger outcomes for small island developing states, and that really goes to the whole point of the issue on loss and damage. Loss and damage is something that we are currently experiencing. It's not a matter of adapting to sea level rise that inundates your island, or it's not global warming that impacts the variability of climate or impacts the chemistry of the oceans and your coastal ecosystems. In the case of Belize, our barrier reef, which is under more stress than it ever has been since our independence back in 1981, we didn't get far enough on that. And that's where I think our voices didn't carry. Maybe it wasn't that it didn't carry loud enough, because I think we were loud enough. But to put it in the terms of your question, it wasn't heard.
So before we let you go, COP27 is scheduled to take place in Egypt next year. Many of the goals in this year's plan will be followed up on at that time. What's the most important thing that needs to happen between now and then?
Between now and then, there's going to be more advocacy. There's going to be more consolidation of support around the areas that we had a few misses on. We also need to see a lot more accountability on the part of the private sector to ensure that they are taking climate risk into account, and that in fact they are thinking about the greater common good.
That is Ambassador Janine Felsen. She's the deputy head of the
No,
Belize
there was
delegation
snow
that
on
attended
Beetlejuice's
COP26.
Explorer. I thought there'd be more snow,
Ambassador Felsen,
but
thank you so much for joining us once again. I do hope we'll keep in touch.
it was
Thank you,
only
Michelle.
on her car.
We want to turn to another issue that's having a tremendous effect.
Should
on
have took a
people's
picture,
lives.
made that the
We're talking
thumbnail.
here about Americans' changing relationship with their workplaces. One measure of that
I will be
changing
changing
relationship is
the
number of
carburetor
workers
on
who
the
went on strike
snowblower.
last month
Live stream
alone.
coming,
Roughly
guys.
25,000
Oh yeah,
workers
and
walked off
Crazy
their jobs
Rapper Robin
demanding
Soup
better pay,
live
benefits,
stream's also coming,
improved workplace
guys.
protections, and often something
Yeah.
less tangible, which we'll call dignity.
Check my
And that
community
doesn't count
tab,
the tens
guys.
of thousands who threaten strikes.
I know
including
Computer
healthcare
Chick
workers with
does.
Kaiser Permanente, which avoided
They know
the major strike on
clickbait.
Saturday after
No
reaching a
clickbait.
tentative
This is
agreement with the
Michigan.
unions.
Weather
It's
changes
all been dubbed
like that up here.
Striketober, and it's come amid a
Yup.
pandemic that's seen more than 34
She told me
million
it snowed all
Americans quit their
day.
jobs. And at a time when nearly 2 in 3 Americans say they approve of labor unions, just 1 in 10 workers actually belongs to one. Professor Jasmine Karasi focuses her research on labor movements and inequality, and she told us that there are 3 major themes playing out right now.
One is about 2-tier systems where new hires are brought in at lower pay or with worse healthcare or retirement packages. A second issue is around control over time and pace. And a third issue is around wages, especially in light of sort of historic CEO compensation.
What role do you think the labor shortage is playing in all of this? Do you think that that's having some effect on the strength of these strikes?
Yes, I do think they're related. So the pandemic exposed and amplified a real host of worker grievances. And that led to 2 dynamics. One is this great resignation where people are walking away from their jobs, and the other is the strikes. And they have similar underlying causes, which is that workers want better options and they don't want to continue with the status quo.
Well, that raises an important question, which is that people can go on strike, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they will be successful. So have the workers actually gotten what they were hoping for?
So it's too early to say about these October strikes. Many of them are ongoing or have contracts that are going to be under ratification in the next week or 2. But right before the pandemic, there started to be an uptick in strike activity too. And those strikes were very successful. So it was the big teachers' strikes of 2018 and 2019, which had a few 100,000 workers each year. And then also the General Motors strike and the Stop and Shop strike. But strikes happen in waves, and we have some data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics from 1916 to 1936, and it has outcomes of strikes, and we can see that workers, when they're winning, subsequently more workers go on strike.
So before we let you go, as we mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, just 1 in 10 workers belongs to a union right now. And I think people will remember that the most sort of high-profile unionization effort that we've seen in recent years at Amazon was not successful. So when you weigh all of the factors together...
Yeah, I was catnapping while everybody enjoyed the side check, King.
Basically the vast swath of the economy.
Got you some good liberal radio on, so you know all the lies that are being told.
So in the 1920s, it seemed like the
I'm all
labor movement was dying. Unionization was also at an all-time low. And just years later, there was a big strike wave. And part of that strike wave in the 30s was about forming unions.
Hope you're
so
feeling
in
well.
1936, for example, over half of the strikes involved forming unions and union organization.
Yeah, she calls it sick. I call it congested.
That in that year, 75% of strikes were successful or partially successful on behalf of unions. So there is, sort of precedent that unorganized workers could become union members. Of course, the road is hard.
That was Jasmine Karasi. She's a professor at the University of Massachusetts.
So there's McDonald's up here in Michigan. You go work there for $21 an hour, folks.
Thanks for inviting me.
The U.S. Supreme Court
$21 an hour they're hiring.
A case brought by the National Rifle Association's New York State affiliate, a case that could expand the ability of people to carry concealed weapons in public places. Many observers believe that because of the makeup of the court, the case could go in the NRA's
She don't want
favor.
no shit.
And that would seem to be good news for the NRA.
That's
But
the
it
best
also
part of the
means
joke.
at the
She
same
don't want no
time, the
shit.
organization is in deep legal and financial peril. Its revenues are down dramatically, and New York Attorney General has accused the nonprofit of misconduct to the tune of tens of millions of dollars, all under the tenure of NRA CEO Wayne LaPierre. NRA investigative correspondent Tim Mack has been looking behind the scenes at the NRA. He also obtained secret audio of senior NRA strategy sessions after the Columbine shootings in 1999. And he's just out with a new book titled Misfire, Inside the Downfall of the NRA. And Tim Mack is with us now to tell us more about his reporting. Tim Mack, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, thanks for having me.
So in addition to the reporting that you've been doing, this week news broke that the NRA had been hacked. So along with all the other scandals, the challenges, and the cutbacks the group has gone through, what's been happening at NRA headquarters?
So the Reload, an organization that covers gun news and firearms news, broke this story about documents being leaked from hackers who have been targeting the NRA. And these documents include things like social security numbers for staff members and other sensitive information about tax payments and child support and things like that. And it's really kind of put out there for a lot of people in the public, addresses and other information that I'm sure that a lot of folks at the NRA would rather not have out in the open.
So what is it like working at the NRA right now?
This is what's so interesting about kind of pulling back the curtain and looking into this organization. There's always been these two tiers of staff at the NRA, the executives who have these like lavish lives and use the NRA for exotic vacations and private jets. But a lot of people who work at the NRA understand, hey, they work at a nonprofit. And if you ask any nonprofit employee at a kind of average run-of-the-mill nonprofit in America, they have to make sacrifices to do the kind of work they want to do, including lower salaries, less perks, and that sort of thing. And so for NRA employees, they've always taken kind of a lower salary to work at that organization. Now, the last few years have been really terrible for NRA employees. They had such serious payroll problems that in 2018, they almost didn't get paid. It was in such a financial state that even coffee was shut off. That's a pretty serious signal for any employee when your employer stops giving free coffee at work. Their pension plan was frozen. Later on, they had to deal with a 20% pay cut. Hundreds of staff have been laid off over the last year or two. It's been a real crisis for the NRA.
And I want to ask about the membership. How are NRA members feeling about all this?
Well, you know, over the last couple of years, there's kind of been a revolt from a small but pretty vocal segment of the NRA membership. A lot of people are already pretty angry about the allegations of misconduct by senior folks at the NRA. And that was before this week when NPR published these tapes, which kind of take us inside the room where NRA officials, lobbyists, executives, advisors, they huddled to strategize in 1999 after the shootings at Columbine. And so we're given this window into their thinking. And the shocking thing was how they talked about some of their own members in private. Wayne LaPierre, for example, worried that the organization's most radical members would show up to the NRA's annual convention that year in Denver.
You know, the other problem is holding a member meeting without an exhibit hall. You never will. The people you are most likely to get in that member meeting without an exhibit hall are the nuts.
So you hear these officials calling their own members hillbillies, idiots, fruitcakes, nuts. It's a window into how they view the very people who fund and support the organization. And so there's been a lot of frustration among the grassroots of this organization, probably compounded by the tapes and the news this week.
Before I let you go, it just seems as though the leadership and some portion of the membership, it just seems like they're in a parallel universe from a lot of other people. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, the response to Columbine and then subsequently the response to Sandy Hook. Just so many people just look at that and say, how is this possible that people in the same country looking at the same facts have such a different response to the same events? And I wonder if your reporting shed some light on that.
Yeah, this is what's so interesting about these secret Columbine tapes, right? That they show behind the scenes the wheels in motion of these NRA officials as they're thinking through how to deal with this Columbine tragedy. And you hear them consider a softer approach. You hear them think about, oh, well, maybe we can consider canceling our convention in Denver just a week and a half after, or maybe we can think about $1 million victims fund for people affected by Columbine. But then they kind of shift. They come to the conclusion that giving any grant, compromising in any way, will be almost accepting responsibility or agreeing to this notion that they were complicit in the Columbine shootings. And this is a fact that echoes for the years to come. And the NRA's subsequent responses to a lot of the school shootings later, you hear them make their playbook for how they're going to deal with school shootings that sadly become more common in the decades after Columbine.
That is NPR investigations correspondent Tim Mak. Tim, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're listening to NPR News. When Vice President Kamala Harris flew to France last week, her husband, Doug Emhoff, was at her side. It was their first diplomatic trip abroad as a couple, and it was the first time the world saw a second gentleman from the United States accompany his wife to Europe. NPR White House correspondent Asma Khalid has this report.
Most of the vice president's trip was focused on diplomatic business. But she did take time out Saturday morning to swing by this iconic Parisian cookware shop.
I am looking around, but yeah, what have I got?
Harris is known as a cooking aficionado. As she gazed at the rows and rows of copper pots, Emhoff stood awkwardly to the side. A journalist asked her if the second gentleman is a good cook.
He's an apprentice.
She taught me during COVID.
Yeah, I realized that
Out of necessity. After almost burning down our apartment, then I got a little bit better.
It was just a small moment, but one that indicated how Emhoff has been taking a conventional approach to his new job, while symbolically sending a message about gender equity. Catherine Jellison at Ohio University has researched political spouses, and she says America's first second gentleman is largely doing what's traditionally done amongst second spouses.
Following usual patterns. Playing the part of the dutiful political spouse, very supportive.
But she says there's one big difference.
People aren't very focused on his wardrobe. In his case, what color tie will he wear, that kind of thing.
And indeed, when they walked into dinner at the Elysee Palace, no one was photographing Emhoff for his sartorial choices. But when Harris was busy speaking on the world stage or dealing with diplomatic meetings behind closed doors, Emhoff was on a cultural mission. On Friday, as Harris wrapped up a press conference and rushed off in a motorcade to discuss developments in Libya with a group of world leaders, Emhoff visited a culinary institute and met with students learning to cook and bake. It was a striking reversal of gender roles. Back in July, this former high-powered entertainment lawyer was asked if it's been difficult for him to embrace his new role.
So when I had the honor of being in this role, because this country elected the first woman vice president, whose name is Kamala Harris, and happened to be my wife, I did embrace it. And I just raised my hand, and I said, where do you need me? I'm going to go where I'm needed and where I can help.
He was visiting a mobile vaccination clinic in Louisiana on that trip.
And on the COVID piece, on these vaccinations, I'm not going to stop. This administration is not going to stop until we continue to get the word out.
Emhoff has visited 30 states since January, often focusing on vaccines. He told NBC he wants to set an example.
Men have to step up, and step up for the people that they love, and actually show it.
It's a line he reiterated in Paris and said he's going to use this role to keep on spreading that message. Asma Khalid, NPR News.
Bring on the copyrights.
By the way, you can always hear more from Asma Khalid and the rest of the NPR Politics team. Just tune into the NPR Politics podcast, where our reporters and editors break down the latest news out of Washington and explain why it matters. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts. This is NPR News.
If you've had COVID-19, you may have experienced a number of different symptoms and then gotten over them. But for about 5% of patients, some symptoms keep lingering.
There's this model that you get your disease, you get your treatment, you're done, you go back to work, you're fine. For a lot of people, it's just not like that.
New clues on what causes long COVID on the next morning edition from NPR News.
Hi, it's Michelle Martin. Sure, it could have been just called national radio, but on top of not having a great ring to it, the name would be missing the most important word, public. A reminder that every day for 50 years, we're here for you. So celebrate NPR 50, yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
Celebrating 50 years of NPR on 1019 WDET.
Janine Herbst with these headlines. President Biden will host a bill signing ceremony at the White House tomorrow for the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. Members of Congress, governors, and mayors are expected to be on hand. Tomorrow, a jury in Kenosha, Wisconsin will start deliberating whether Kyle Rittenhouse is guilty of charges including murder for shooting 3 people, 2 of whom died during unrest over the police shooting of Jacob Blake Jr., who was left paralyzed. Rittenhouse pleaded not guilty. And in Italy, more than 600 migrants arrived on the shores of the country in the past 24 hours despite rough seas. This as the Italian government seeks agreement with its EU partners on handling the influx of migrants. I'm Janine Herbst, NPR News. Support for NPR comes from this station and from Carnegie Corporation of New York, supporting innovations in education, democratic engagement, and the advancement of international peace and security. More information is available online at carnegie.org. And from the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, celebrating 40 years of exceptionally creative and inspiring individuals. This year's MacArthur Fellows and more information are at macfound.org.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Michelle Martin. Season 2 of the Netflix series Hintified premiered this week. Still set in Boyle Heights, the majority Latino neighborhood in Los Angeles. In the new season, the Morales cousins, Chris, Eric, and Anna, confront new challenges as their beloved grandfather, Pop, faces the possibility of deportation.
Your first interview's on Friday, and then we set up as many interviews as we can for the next 6 months until your trial.
Eso es para la green card. No, no necesito entrevistas. What are you talking about? You have to do it.
Pop, please. Look, ICE isn't gonna play fair, Pop. They're gonna mess with your mind, make you slip up.
And finding an excuse to send it back to Mexico.
The show's second season takes us even deeper into the lives of the Morales family while they try to sort through their own issues around identity, community, and success, while also facing the big issues swirling around them and their loved ones, issues like immigration status and gentrification. But the show never comes off as a policy paper or documentary. It's more like a heartfelt look through a particularly honest family album. The show was created by Marvin Lemus and Linda Yvette Chavez, and they are both with us now to tell us more about Hintified's new season. Welcome back to the program. Thank you both so much for talking with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
So congratulations. I want to remind people that this show started out initially as like a web series idea, and now it's all over the world,
yeah.
Which is a lot. I mean, does it feel different the second time around? Maybe, Marvin, do you want to start?
Yeah, I think it does feel different. It's kind of, the digital series was never released, and so people knew about it and were anticipating the show coming out, and but this time around, we get to release it and there's like an audience. There's people that are like almost like a little too pushy about demanding season 2. Which is a lot of fun for us because the pressure's really on to make this good and to deliver and build on what we did last season. But it's been good. It's been crazy.
Let's just catch people up for people who may not have seen first season. First season really focuses on this family. Kind of the center of the family is the Taqueria, and they're trying to figure out how to keep it going despite the forces in the neighborhood that might compromise it. Pop wants to kind of keep things the way they are, and then the next generation, they want to kind of hold on to the essence of it, but they want to help them kind of compete in this new world where forces are moving into the neighborhood. And without giving too much away, the central focus of this season is Pop, who's played by Joaquin Cosio. Last season ended with Pop being detained by ICE, and this season he's fighting possible deportation. So I want to play a scene where Pop gets a chance, unlike most people in that situation, frankly, to go on CNN and tell his story, and he gives a really powerful speech. So let's listen and we'll talk about it.
This country promised the American dream, but you lied. I worked hard, pero tú me arrancas mi sueño. I'm done begging. I'm not a perfect immigrant, but I know I am not a criminal. No digas mentiras. This is my home. This is where I belong. Whether you like it or not.
Okay, let's get our tissues. This goes back to what you were talking about, because one of the things about the show is it's so funny and so warm and so sweet, but you don't shy away from things that are hard, that are really hard. So tell me a little bit about how you thought about how to work with this storyline.
Yeah, I mean, Marvin and I, like, when we came into the second season, we knew we weren't coming into the same tone for the family as we had in the first season. We knew we were ending the season on something pretty heavy that we actually didn't even touch upon the whole season until the very end. And we really thought about what was the story we wanted to tell for Pop.
Oh.
It really came down to empowerment. We didn't want to see another story depicting an immigrant as, sad and in misery and in detention and going through nothing but pain. The reality was this is a man who's been a mainstay of this community for 30 years. He had formed a whole family. There's generations of Moraleses in Royal Heights.
Yeah, a little bit.
And he was beloved in the community, and for him to suddenly be seen as a criminal, to be suddenly told that he must be ripped from this foundation that he's built, we wanted to show the real, injustice in that and how unfair the systems are for so many folks who are dealing with their status in this country, and how it affects how they live with their families and live in their communities. And so what story we haven't seen really
I hope y'all enjoyed watching me take a nap.
We felt like the story of this man who goes from being this quiet ranchero who just deals with his family and his taco shop to having to
Mary
be
Todd
in
Lincoln.
this public forum nationally to tell people, I belong here, because he starts out the season really not being sure. He starts out thinking, oh, maybe I'll get
Yeah, I heard
help
about
from Mexico
that.
and leave now. I messed up. He goes from being a
Hopefully
very
Kyle's
secure
all
about
right.
everything,
His
not even
mom's
wanting to say
okay.
that he's undocumented, to literally sitting in front of the national news and saying, this is who I am and I'm not going to be of it. That's the journey we wanted for him, because we wanted to say exactly that. There's no shame in our family and who we are, and we belong here, whether you like it or not. That's why our poster says here to stay, like it or not. This is our family, this is our story, this is our country, and we're Americans. And that's really where we wanted to hone in the story, and that's where we took Joaquin. Joaquin just blew it out of the water. I was getting emotional just listening to that clip, just the sound of it. But yeah, that's
Honey
that was our
Bunch.
intention with it.
Do you ever disagree?
I've watched
or
almost every
something
minute
like
of
this?
that
And if so,
trial.
how do you resolve
I think
I mean, we
I
disagree
missed
on a
a
lot
little
of
bit
things
on
all the
day
time.
6.
That's most of the work is getting over and finding the compromise. No, I mean, I think on something like this, I think when it comes to these issues, I don't know that we necessarily disagree, but we were definitely trying to figure out, okay, where are we going? What are the options? And, one of the ways, this.
Oh, yeah, we're
ending
good.
in this story for Pop became very crystal clear. And just the story
I'm
for the
good.
family became very crystal clear, because while we were breaking the story, my mom got her citizenship finally, after having been a green card holder for about 15 or so years. And I still, the weight that came off my shoulders that I didn't realize was there the moment she told me that, hey, I got it. I got the paper. It came early. She wasn't expecting it. And it was such an emotional day for me. And I had no idea that
I'll make it.
Have that
Woo!
reaction to her. That sparked a huge conversation for us of
not
what
guilty.
that feeling is of we've been living our
Unless
lives.
they've been
We
swayed
find
or
love,
threatened.
We find humor in every day.
12
We're
minutes,
chasing our dreams
junkyard,
and we're
12 minutes,
building
about to go in.
relationships and building careers, but in the back of your head there's always that worry. There's always this doom that could come at any moment, because you're the concern of over somebody's status.
out here.
It's just something that can be so ingrained in you from a young age. And so it really helped shape that conversation for us and figure out, okay, it just kind of crystallized and became very clear for us, this is it. This is the direction we need to start moving in to tell the story and what that feels
All
like.
right,
and we wanna
dudes.
capture what that,
Thanks for hanging
that
with
sense,
me.
That tone, that dark
catch up
cloud
with you
that is
guys
always,
later.
kind of overhead, even while you're still in your joy.
Later,
I think that's what we
dudes.
wanted to capture this season for the family.
One of the things about the show